Channel NITT viewers, I am DS, your psychologist, and welcome to another episode on Channel NITT. In case you are new to our channel, Channel NITT is a psychology-based channel, but we do a lot of MBTI videos. So as a psychology lecturer, I get to meet a lot of students. Many students, when asked why they choose psychology as a discipline to pursue, say that they want to use psychology to understand others. This perception of psychology cannot be more wrong. A lot of students come to psychology thinking that it is a very easy module. No. Actually, if you want to do well in psychology, you have no choice but to have a lot of extroverted thinking. You need to use a lot of extroverted thinking. So one of the modules that I teach is called psychological research. This is not an easy module for many students because in this module, the students have to come out and design one of their own experimental studies. So many viewers here, you may not be psychology students, but I hope you will stay on to watch this because it tells you how TE comes to play a role in critical thinking. And as a TE user, ENTJ, ESTJ, INTJ, ISTJs are likely to be more able to engage in critical thinking, which is a very important skill in real life and in psychology. So students in psychological research have to come up with their own question. So as a guide for students, I usually give them this very simple question. So let's say you might be interested to know, does chocolate make us happy? So how are you going to study that? So hypothetically, you can have 40 participants, 20 you divide into group A and 20 you divide into group B. For the group A participants, you're going to give them chocolates. For the group B participants, you give them nothing. At the end of the experiment, you ask them how happy they are. Presume that there is a way for you to measure their happiness, and let's call it the happiness index. So what you will do is to compare group A's happiness index and group B's. So if group A's happiness index is higher than group B, then you say that yes, chocolates make us happy. Is this the right way to look at it? Of course not. This is a very flawed type of an experimental design. Group A gets chocolate, Group B does not. So you compare. Yes, the logic is there. But there are a lot of possible reasons why Group A's happiness index is higher than that of Group B. Receiving something can already make someone happy, right? You know, when we receive an email, when we open a letterbox and we see our own letter, how happy we are. So sometimes just getting something makes us happy. So it need not be chocolate. So in this case, Group A, they got something, that's why they're happy. It's not because of the chocolates. So to be more accurate, you may need to have Group A gets chocolate, Group B gets sweet, Group C get nothing, and then you compare. So what you need to now be more careful about is to compare between A and B. If Group A still get a higher rating, that means it must probably be the chocolates. So in psychological research, the challenge is that you do not take things at face value. So I'm going to move on to another example to illustrate this. So presume that your research question is, darker colors make a room look smaller. Well, this can be tested. So the logical way to think of it immediately is, okay, have a room, paint it a very dark color, and ask the person to come in and then estimate the size of the room, for example. Then have the same room, then paint it a lighter color, and then have the person come in and estimate the size of this same room. Okay, another variant of this is to have adjacent rooms that are of the same size and then paint one that is dark and one that is light colored, and then ask the participant to give an estimate of the size of the room. Then you will compare whether there is a difference. Technically, if darker rooms do make us feel that the room is smaller, then the participants will definitely gauge or estimate the darker rooms as a smaller room. Is this the correct way to do it? Again, no. So before you even confirm a design, you got to think very deeply, is there a problem with this kind of a design? Could there be an alternative explanation for why the results might be different? So imagine you are a participant, you are first led into room A, and then you led into room B, and then asked to estimate the size. Deep inside you, if you are an intelligent participant, you would have guessed what the purpose of the experiment is, right? So you can estimate the darker room as smaller because you think that that is the hypothesis and you want to help the researcher with the hypothesis. So there is a name for this kind of a phenomenon. It's called the Hawthorne effect or reactive arrangement. This is where sometimes the participants may try to predict what the experiment is about and give you what they think you want. Also, when you look at the original design, is it something that is practical? You can't be having a house with identical rooms and painting each of a different shade, right? So probably a more practical way of doing it is to simulate virtual rooms. Let participants be in a room where they only wear goggles, which can allow them to see different rooms of various sizes and of various colors, and asking them to estimate the size of the room. So in this case, your dependent variable should be the difference between the actual size of the room and what the participant estimates. In this case, it is possible that the participant may tend to have an underestimate of the room that are darker in shade. This is not only pertaining to experiments, even surveys. We cannot take things at face value. So let's just give an example in this case. So for example, if you're interested to know whether KFC chicken or Popeye chicken tastes better and you want to survey it, so you can ask around. Maybe you give people a survey and they ask them to rate. I like Kentucky Fried Chicken from 1 to 10. Ask them to rate, and then they say I like Popeye chicken. Or you can also, depending think of different items or different statements like Kentucky Fried Chicken really tastes nice, you know, that kind of a thing, and then you give it out. So suppose the results come and then you compile the results and then you found that Popeye chicken is rated to be more tasty than Kentucky Fried Chicken, and this result is significant. So are you going to accept the results as it is? No, you can't. You got to analyze. First, it could be possible that people think that Popeye chicken tastes better because it's rarer, right? Because Kentucky Fried Chicken is everywhere, so it's like cheap. So there could be psychological effects behind why the participants answer that way. So you got to be very careful. So one of the more accurate ways to measure whether KFC tastes better or Popeye chicken tastes better is to let someone who has tasted neither of them before sample them and then rate. But of course, in our society, who hasn't tasted KFC at all? So this is going to be a very difficult experiment to conduct. So you got to understand that sometimes a very good design may not be practical. But if you have done a survey, then you need to be very mindful. What are some possible alternative explanations? And then you can come up with the limitations. So students, I hope that this video has allowed you to understand where I am coming from when I am asking you to watch out for confounding variables or alternative explanations for why the results might show this way. So viewers, I also hope that you understand that psychology is not as simple as many people think it is. A lot of TE, extroverted thinking, is required, and that is why many students do not do well in it at all. Reason being, many people don't use TE as either their dominant or auxiliary function. Some people's cognitive stacks don't even have TE at all. But enough said, many non-TE users have shown that they are capable of doing well in this module. So it might be a matter of intelligence. Nonetheless, again, I want to reiterate that TE is a very important trait because it helps in critical thinking. When you keep using TE enough, then you will start to be able to see flaws in many different areas, and then you will know whether maybe politician is telling the truth, whether this artist, the saga, is trustable. So hope that you can develop your extroverted thinking, the ability to see from many different points of view, the ability to strategize. Okay, I hope that you have found this video useful. If you have not subscribed, do consider subscribing so that we can bring you more ENTJ, psychology, and fun stuff. Okay, I am going to sign off now, and I'll see you in our next episode. Bye bye!